Alright everyone, moving on to the last question of my final. We all have to do it regarding the endurance performance and the limitations of it. So to start off, let's talk about them. So first one, the environment that you perform in is critical to how your performance may be, especially in those extreme environments, whether it's in an extreme cold environment or especially in those hot and humid environments, which I spoke about just previously, right, and the dangers of it. As well, with that, if you fail to properly acclimate adequately with the proper timing of it, then you're going to feel the effects more of that environment. So proper acclimation is important, and you see this a lot even as well. Another example of this that's related as well is the adapting to a high altitude environment. And you see this a lot, especially with like fighters and boxers, where they go and train at a higher elevation, or at least wear a device that mimics that, to essentially create more of those have more of those red blood cells. It's like illegal doping essentially. So, and that's part of acclimation or acclimatization, which are interchangeable terms. And nutrition, my area. Oh yeah, so during high intensity performance, the body utilizes more of the carbohydrate. However, if you acclimate it right to that environment as well and train properly, especially for endurance athletes, this is seen more with them as responders to this. The body acclimates to you. Essentially, it adapts to sparing that glycogen that essentially gets broken down to glucose to utilize for vital organs, and fat is utilized more, which is great because we have unlimited amounts of that. And with that, this hydration is key, which we also touched about. And from my research that I did about this, ad libitum hydration and respecting those, listening to your body, respecting those cues is key. And if you really think about it, varying on the sport that you do, the intensity, if you've acclimated, all these factors, nutrition, everything, the environment, it doesn't make sense to have a set amount of fluid for a certain sport or an individual, and then you got the responders and the non-responders to it. So respecting your thirst cues is imperative for to perform the best. And failure to do this, overhydration is a thing as well. Or of course, dehydration limits it also. So respecting your hydration cues is the best to a better to an increase in a better performance. Now moving on, so a big governor of this is that central governor theory of fatigue, which essentially, we'll talk about it. This is a little bit of a graph to depict, to illustrate what this essentially is. Now the principal claim of this theory is that the essential governor is the brain, and as we know, right, as we often use the term the head of, the head, the main one controlling everything, is that the brain dynamically and subconsciously regulates physical exertion by afferent inputs from the body, and thereby allowing for the completion of a given task in a safe manner. And essentially, the purpose of this is to ensure that any wild or catastrophic physiological failure doesn't occur to the body. Essentially, it's based on sensation or motion and not a physical exertion that's causing this. So in that process, the body, this concept suggests that the mechanism of the central nervous system receives information from the afferent, from the body's needs to continue performance and motivational drives to regulate that exertion and to prevent the body from shutting down homeostatically, which a reason for that may be, again, going back to nutrition, but the brain is the regulator of recognizing that due to, energy depletion. So using my pointer here, I had it there for a while. So the brain will receive this feedback from the afferent nervous system, And then ask yourself, is it getting too dangerous? And if it's no, is there a chance of making it to the end? And if there is, then the brain will allow for the heart to continue its course, right? We talked about performance in terms of the cardiac output, and essentially the body utilizing that oxygen, the VO2, ideally. However, if it's getting too dangerous, if it's a yes, it'll shut down its functions. You won't be able to optimize the heart for that performance. So, given that the brain is the governor in this theory, and in my estimation and research, it makes sense. It is where everything is controlled, including your thermoregulatory system. It's at the hypothalamus. It's controlled here as well, so it'll pick up from the external environment how that is regulated, if the body is able to keep up. And essentially everything over here, the environment, the acclimation, the nutrition, hydration, the brain will be the main driver of that. It'll regulate this. Alright, everyone, so I believe that's all I got for now. Feel free to contact me if you have my information, if you'd like to know more, or if there's anything you'd like to clear up. But thank you.